Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today is about COP28, the climate summit. So criticisms yesterday greeted the high number of delegates Nigeria sent to the ongoing Conference of Parties COP28 climate summit in Dubai, especially at the time of austerity measures that Nigerians and federal government is asking for Nigerians to make sacrifices and tighten their belt. Nigerians have criticized the fact that Nigeria sent 1,411 delegates, being the fourth largest delegation to COP28, behind China, Brazil, and I think one of Japan. No, actually, Japan is third, not fourth. We're third. So China was the largest. Then Brazil was over 3,000. China was over 4,000. And we came third by 1,411. However, the federal government has quickly responded, saying that those who attended the COP28 climate summit in Dubai are sponsored. Only a few of them, only a handful are sponsored by federal government. According to them, only about 589 were sponsored. Others are business partners, civil society, other groups who are going there also for business opportunity, because the federal government did let everyone to say that we are going to COP, we need you to come because we're looking for investors. So many of them sponsor themselves there. But what are your thoughts on this? Because this story has gone viral. Nigerians have criticized federal government for this large number of delegations, especially because of the list of the members that have invited. Some, they've criticized some of the people that have gone, and even the daily stipend that's given to them, the ESTA code has been given to them, has also been criticized. What are your thoughts on this? Let's have a conversation and see if we can educate ourselves better. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. Let me come to the ladies. What are your thoughts on this hot topic?
Yeah, so you know I'm quite interested in conversations like this. So
because you're going next year, so you better get ready.
But you know, so at first I have to tell you the truth. I was disappointed. I was like, this administration would do this, take a whole 1,000+ delegates. Just does not make sense. It is not. It's so. You know, different from the sort of message we've gotten from this administration, especially when we're going to UNGA. They made it a conversation to make sure that only those who are meant to be there should be there. They were very careful about the number of people. And then if you were caught to have found your way on the list without proper approval, they were going to, you know, you were going to face some consequences for that. And then to have that same administration have over 1,000 delegates going for this climate summit. I was so disappointed. I was quite embarrassed. But stories coming in here and there from the presidency saying that not everyone on that list was sponsored by the government. Some people came on their own. In fact, I heard that there was actually a bid by the UK asking Nigerians, you know, if you're interested to come. I didn't even know about that. So, you know, I think we'll hear, when we get to ask questions, we'll hear more. But at first, I have to tell you, I thought it was irresponsible, especially when we're in a country we're constantly discussing how we need to tighten our belt. Then we saw the list for ESTA codes. We're hearing $900 per day, $800 per day. I'm like, what? Wow. Foreign exchange? Is this, where are we getting that from? So it just did not make sense to me. And I hope that we can, I like how you said it, I hope that this is a session where we can educate ourselves. Yeah. But if not, if we find out at the end of this conversation that the government really just did not pay attention to the numbers and made such a big gaffe, then this is one I'm going to say to the administration did zero. Okay. I have to turn around.
Of the data here. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change showed that out of the 1,411 Nigerian delegates, registered delegates, 590 were sponsored by the federal government, which included the presidents, 25 ministers, chief of staff, 5 director generals, several directors, deputy directors, and assistant directors and different officials with different titles. But they said others were now sponsored by state governments, non-governmental and corporate organizations. And when they started calculating, they said even the 590 that were sponsored by the federal government, they wouldn't have spent less than 850 million for flight tickets alone for that. And I'm asking what changed from 169 delegates that attended last year. They do these things every year. We had 169 attending last year. What moved from that figure to 590 when we have other countries cutting down on the delegates that they sent. A country like Kenya had to cut down on their own delegates. They said the Kenya president reduced his delegates from 189 to 51. So you would look at your capacity, your revenue, the amount of money you have in your pockets, your resources to determine who and who is needed in this conversation, who and who is needed in the conversation, who do we take, who do we leave behind. I just feel like there's a lot of largesse going on. We're not going to lie about it. On one hand, the government would appeal to us to tighten our belts and wait out the time and see how things will improve. On the other hand, we see things that are not supposed to be, things that we're supposed to have reduced by now since we have been advised to tighten our belts. We see a largesse on the other hand, and you're wondering, is it from the same, can bitter and sweet water come from the same source? Is it the same presidency that is telling us to tighten our belts at the same time they are not tightening theirs? So Nigerians are worried. Nigerians are questioning. I would like to know the offices that attended and what they are going to do from why they attended in the first place, because I know that it's not all those 590. Most of them had no business in environmental conversations. We need to start putting, fixing the right people in the right conversation so that when they come back, what I would have wanted to see is that, okay, the president comes out to say, we need only the people who are directly in charge of making an impact after this conference to attend this. Then the president and maybe the vice president can now go as, superior, since they are going to be representing their country, and other country presidents are there, right? And when they come back, they set up conferences so that these people will debrief the people who are here who did not attend. It's more cost effective. Can we look into that than just allowing, and tomorrow now people will say, let's just leave the matter.
All right, let me come to you, talk about your thoughts on this.
I was not surprised. I was not surprised. Why wasn't I surprised? Because this administration there are some areas where they tighten their belt, and there are some areas where, in the bid to balance, it's bloated. Our ministerial list, bloated. Appointments, bloated. So why did we now suddenly think that the COP 90 would now be reduced? No, COP 28, it will not reduce. We already have seen a trend of bloated appointment, bloated number, because the government is trying to balance, all the ethnicity, every region must be covered, every local government must be covered. So what we've done essentially is giving plenty people state-sponsored vacation. And we know that's how it happens. Everybody is lobbying as a reward. I've been loyal. So that my name will get on the list, I'll get a state-sponsored vacation. How many of the people that truly attended had, in the past, since the beginning of this administration, had played in the environmental space? And at the end of the day, in their report, what is the breakdown of, this is what I did over the days that I spent in this entire conference. So it really doesn't make us look like a serious country. We are borrowing to fund our budget. Like, we are borrowing money to fund our budget, and the people we want to borrow from are saying this. It doesn't look right. Yeah. So on the federal government level, the 500 that they said they are taking a lot. Yeah. The 500 they're taking care of is number one. Number two, the state governments too sponsored. Yes. So some states that have not paid, states that are borrowing money, states that cannot pay salary, states that are complaining that they cannot pay minimum wage, are now taking people to do environmental. What exactly are you looking for?
See, I also, there's something that, one of the reasons why I thought it was important to have this conversation, because part of our objective is to educate ourselves and educate Nigerians. We understand very clearly that there's something called propaganda. Propaganda is a political tool that tweaks a narrative. So if I am going to use that tool, political tool, to twist the narrative of your own objective as president, because that's my job, as opposition, I will use propaganda. If I give you the exact definition of propaganda, it says it's information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. So, as I said, propaganda is, we as Nigerians must understand that this tool is usable for opposition. Now, how do we change narrative from what the government wants to do to what I want the people to think the government is doing? So if my objective as a government, this is the president, once he's resumed, he's saying, I am looking for investments. He went to US, he went to India, he went to Germany. He's looking for investment. He's saying, listen, I am going out looking for money, right? Now, what are the opportunities there for me? So maybe from the 108 that went last year, maybe there was a conversation that, listen, every department, I need you to be there to look for opportunities, because there are issues of erosion in your state. There are issues of flooding here. What can we do? I'm also looking for CNG vehicles. I'm looking for transportation partnership who can give me these opportunities. So if we look at this from the part of the government, what is your objective? I also called all the private sectors, all the companies, follow us, please. In fact, if it can even be 10,000, let's go there. To let them know we are ready for business. Because I can't assume that, I think it was Reno Mercury that was posting that Brazil took 3,000 people. China took 1,000, almost 4,000. We can't assume that the government will sponsor every single person. There is an objective. So if as a government, my objective is to tell the world that Nigeria is ready for business. Now, as an opposition, I don't want you to focus on the objective. I want you to focus on the 1,400. The conversations you must have is about the bloated numbers, not the objective. Because if you look at what some of the press releases that are going out here, this is somebody saying, listen, we are ready for business. Now, how do we juxtapose the government's agenda and also understanding that Nigerians, other English are speaking at COP28, we don't understand it. It's just that you took 1,400. That's the only thing we're focused on.
I'm struggling to believe you. I'm not struggling to believe you. I'm struggling to listen. I'm hearing you're giving me a different option, which is important, that when we're having conversation, we hear all the sides of the story, so that we're making informed decisions.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to put aside my prejudice against the government and my bias against the government, that this government is saying I should tighten and they're not tightening and all of that. So let's even assume that this government went to this event with the expectation that let us go en masse. We are doing what we call invest in the people, give them an agenda, let them go and bring in environmental funds, environmental sponsorship, environmental related businesses to come into Nigeria. Let's say that that's what this government went to achieve. I feel that we should, the information should have been upfront with, okay, this is how many people that are coming to sponsor, this is how much it costs us, this is how we cut our budget. If you don't let me know what you're doing, I would assume the worst of you. So if I'm hearing that per diem is $900 per day, if it is $900 per day, I will not see that as cutting costs. But if you tell me, oh, $900 per day as opposed to last year when they were getting $1,500 per day, or you tell me for some people they got 100, some people got 200, the government needs to be upfront. Nigerians are suffering and they are hungry and they don't want to see the government enjoying the little money that we don't have.
Exactly.
The money we don't have, we don't want to see them enjoying it. So if you want me to believe, and I am honestly trying to be open because I want Nigeria to work and I want to hear this perspective, the government needs to come out with numbers, naira and kobo, dollar and cents of how much was spent and how much was saved and why we should trust that it was with our interest at heart that they did it.
So when it comes to propaganda, you're right. I mean, not just in politics, just life generally, people would always push out a storyline that, you know, reflects their own biases. But then what do you do to counteract propaganda? And it's just about facts and evidence. So now what we're going to ask, now as we're asking the government, we're asking 590. So you are accounting for 590. 590, what did they go to do there? Are they investors? Did they have any conversations about climate change? What were the plans? The state governments that also sent delegates, what were their plans, you know, really? I know, you know, from the beginning, we've said that this administration is quite strong. I can hear their voice is quite strong on environment, sustainability, climate change. So I understand that, you know, they will be there. But who are these people that were there with them? Considering also that we're constantly talking about tightening our belt. Did we really need that many people? Did we really need up to 590 people? Did we really need physically present, you know, people to be there? So these are the questions that will make me now look at propaganda and see that that is just what it is. But if the government is unable to prove, you know, that what they did was right and what they did was in the best interest of the country first, then maybe propaganda is then fact. I'll
come to you, BCA, because when I was trying to read the president's speech in some of these, he said that Nigeria and Africa urgently require investment in alternative energy to be able to fully, effectively transition. The president said that there is an urgent need to heal the bleeding earth, but there's also an urgent need for new investments in critical sectors to leverage on Africa's massive potential contribution to the new global green economy. So from what I'm seeing, that this is a man saying all of you are going green. Africa, we are only contributing for about 4% to this problem, but we are the one going to suffer the brunt of it. As you are transitioning, you must see us as an opportunity to also invest. So, but it doesn't therefore explain, which was saying, why you are taking so many people to get that information or to share that information.
Yes.
So we need information from the government. Why the 590 people? What departments, what areas are they looking at? And let us have a proper debriefing and feedback.
Yeah.
So then Nigerians can understand, because we are in austerity measures. And as much as you like to justify certain things, Nigerians must have information. So let me come to you, BC. What are your own submissions? I know you spoke
on the propaganda
yes.
issue. Propaganda would always happen. There's always two sides to the coin. We must have a positive and negative. And like Miriam rightly said, propaganda is countered with facts. So government needs to give us facts, and that's why we can shut up the people who are, just trying to twist the narrative around. If you don't have facts, those people are likely right. So you must come prepared. I would also like to know exactly what businesses these 590 people finally brought. Because you can do business, this is a global world. You can do businesses from your bedroom. You can get investors from your bedroom. You don't need to travel to get, we know how these conferences work. How many of us go to conference and come back and implement? It's all about implementation. What do they want to say now that a typical Nigerian student does not know? What solutions do they want to offer there now that we cannot generate ourselves? So it's not about we have to travel to get things done. I see other countries' presidents. I don't see them traveling as much as ours do. And they are also getting money. They are also getting businesses done. Hold on. Let's just find a way to... The main problem we have now is we're spending too much than we have. And even though we want to look to the world to support us, what are we doing with the resources that we have? How are we managing the resources that we have? We can't keep overspending our resources. Even the people we are copying do their own things by themselves. We spend those resources and then we are looking for grants, we're looking for help, we're looking for sustenance from other places, and we're spending the little we have that we can manage, we're spending it anyhow. So I would like to know, at the end of the day, while the facts are coming out on the people who have gone to represent us, the solutions they have come back with. In a few months, they should give us a robust solution. From this quarter, from this angle, we came with this, and this is what we're doing to change. And that's the only time it will make sense on the number of people that attended. This happens every year. So maybe next year now we'll have over 5,000.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a few phone calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.